I read the entire Hunger Games trilogy. I was literally obsessed with this trilogy. My entire life was consumed by this trilogy. So what is the next thing I did? I watched all the movies, and it's not a trilogy. There are 4 movies. I watched all of them. I read the book and consecutively watched the movies, and I have a lot of thoughts and opinions to share with you guys. This is why in today's video I'm going to be comparing the Hunger Games series, the book series, and the Hunger Games series, the movie series, to talk about what is better, the books or the movies. Hey you guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing very nice, and I'm sending a lot of hugs and positivity to all of you. Hi, if you're new, welcome to the channel. I really hope you enjoy the content, and if you do, please do consider subscribing and like and comment, because that's the only way YouTube knows that you enjoyed my video. If you do not know the basic setting of the series, it is that there is a dystopian world where the Hunger Games is held every year. Everything is going smoothly, horribly, it's disgusting, but smoothly, just like every other year, until our main character Katniss's sister Prim is actually chosen for the Hunger Games as one of the female volunteers. There's a male volunteer and there's a female volunteer. When Prim is chosen as a female volunteer, Katniss completely loses it. Now you may be thinking, why does she lose it? It's just games. No. The twist in the games is that 24 tributes go in, only one comes out alive. Now you know why Katniss loses it. I will not dive deeper into the story of the books because I don't want to spoil it for you. This is supposed to be a spoiler-free video. That is the basis of the books. I do have a non-spoiler reading vlog up already. You can go and check that out if you want to know more about what happens in all of these books. For now, let's just start with comparing the book with the movie. The first book and the first movie is The Hunger Games. I am literally obsessed with this edition, by the way. I mean, none of the books in the series that I own match each other, but this is my prized possession, especially after I know what the book is about. The first thing I noticed as soon as the movie started was how it was exactly the setting that I had imagined the entire District 12, the grayness of it, the grey hue that it has, which sort of signifies the lives of all of the characters, the lives of the dystopian world that they live in. It was beautiful. Not that the setting itself is beautiful, it is heartbreaking, but the way it was represented was exactly how I imagined it. And the second thing that made this entire setting perfect was the casting. The casting is so good, with Katniss Everdeen being Jennifer Lawrence, and I don't know this properly, but I think that this movie was the first time that Jennifer Lawrence by herself blew up, and after that she became very popular. That is because she played Katniss so well. Because you get to know the inner dialogues in the book, you know that Katniss is this really arrogant character with a lot of self-respect, with a lot of rage, with a lot of anger, but she's also very vulnerable when it comes to her family members, when it comes to the people that she loves. And I think that Jennifer Lawrence actually expressed all of that through her face beautifully, because sometimes when there's internal dialogue in the book, when I'm watching the movie, it's not translated properly because you're not in the head of the character. But the way Jennifer Lawrence made all of the expressions, the slight lip shiver here and there, how her face would just contort into emotion and then become all straight-faced again, because that's what Katniss is like in the book, where she really wants to cry, but she's like, you don't cry, because crying doesn't get you anything. You need to be strong-faced. I loved Prim's character. I love Peeta's character, who is the main male tribute. Peeta, with his pookiness, it seems like a wrong word to use when the setting is like the Hunger Games, but he just feels like such a pookie to me, and with his cute warm eyes and his warm aura, he has those romantic eyes. Just the way he looks at Katniss, it's enough. And I loved that about Peeta's character. I do not know the man who was cast as Peeta's character, but I loved his acting so much. The other side characters like Haymitch, and we had Effie, all of them just as I imagined. And one very important side character, which was Rue, was literally adorable in the movie. The way Rue's character was played in the movie just multiplied every emotion I had around Rue in the book 100 times more. Next up, I usually have a complaint from books that they really miss out on the details that are very important, that capture the essence of the book, but I feel like the movie did not miss out on that. There were very subtle nuances that was reserved in the movie. For example, a very tiny out of context, completely non-spoiler example is Cinna's gold eyeliner. I read that in the book for some reason that really stood out to me. For some reason, I mean, it was written to stand out, and that was kept in the movie. I swear to God, being a book lover, if I saw that Cinna did not have the gold eyeliner, I would be really mad, but that is not what happened. Along with that, we had so many important scenes. For example, the way she says bye to Cinna, it was literally what I imagined it would be like, and it captured the emotions. The little head shake Peeta gives when she's about to run, very little details that you could just easily have skipped, and I wouldn't be like, oh my god, how could they, I mean, I would be like, oh my god, how could they do that, but it wouldn't really take away from the story. I think it was all kept, and that really added to the movie. The third point is how when you read the book and it's about games, and when you're turning it into a movie, it's so easy to miss out on the entire point of the book, the entire point of the story that is being told, which is the grotesque nature of the Hunger Games, people dying for the entertainment of the rich. But this one captured that so beautifully that it actually made it more enjoyable for me to read Catching Fire. I was able to grasp the vibe of the book so well because of the movie that when I was reading Catching Fire, I just knew how high the stakes were and how serious it is. Leading me to the next point, which is the post-production. It was so awesome. There was perfect music with the perfect rise and the perfect falls and the perfect ASMR scenes where the leaves crunching would be there or the bird singing would be there, and then in the perfect places it would be completely silent because that is where you're supposed to be silent so that the scene is impactful. All of these things in the post-production mixed with how the movie captured the vibe of the book, it actually really set me up for the next book of Catching Fire. I think the ending was a little bit rushed. The ending is so satisfying in the book, plus some of the very brutal scenes that makes the book even more serious, that just shows how disgusting the capital is, was taken away from the movie. For example, the mutts, if you know, you know. However, I think with the first movie, The Hunger Games, the book and the movie are equal to me in a way where some things the book missed but the movie captured it very well, and some things the movie missed but the book did very well, and so they're equal to me. Which then leads me to the second book, which is Catching Fire. Oh my god, I was actually obsessed with the book itself. So I don't know how I would not like the movie. This is the story of what happens with our main characters after the Hunger Games. Not gonna tell you more than that. The movie started out well. It captured the tension that the book also started with very well. Each chapter in the book actually ends with something twisted, a sort of a plot twist, and I think that suddenness of things happening was also captured well in the movie. Obviously the setting yet again was perfect, so I'm not gonna repeat that. The post-production even with this book was really good. But then as we moved forward in the movie, I think it got a little bit too hectic, and the ending was definitely very hectic, and it felt a little choppy to me, which makes sense. I don't really think there's any other way around it because the ending of the book itself was so choppy. There was just so much happening. I don't know how else the movie would be able to capture exactly what happened in the book. Even then, I just think that the way everything played out was better suited for the book than the movie. The biggest highlight for me in the movie was Finnick. The casting of Finnick. The man that plays Finnick is actually Billy from Daisy Jones and the Six, which I am obsessed with. Like, I'm actually gonna restart watching Daisy Jones and the Six now. He's also Will from Me Before You. That's when I saw him for the first time. I first watched him in Me Before You. I was like, oh my god, he's so good. And then when I watched him as Billy, I was just like completely obsessed. And he was Finnick. Also, he captured the essence of the character so beautifully. He's literally the best actor ever. With this book, I think they changed a lot of things in the movie. The subtle nuances which I was talking about. I mean, they did keep the golden eyeliner of Cinna and other subtle nuances, but they did change things up. However, I think it was necessary to make the movie interesting like the book. If I am to compare the movie with the book, I think the book is better because of the choppy ending and things like that. It was just better suited for the book. But if I am to compare the second movie, Catching Fire, with the first movie, I think the movie was better because of all of the enhancement that we got with time. For example, all of the dresses of Katniss, all of her costumes, they just looked better. The way everything was happening, it was just done better with CGI. In the end, however, we have the last book, which was actually divided into two books, which is Mockingjay. I don't want to talk about it. I actually finished reading this yesterday and I watched the movie back to back, so it's very fresh in my mind. This book itself is not my favorite book, so obviously the movies won't be as good. But I think that this time the movie was better than the book. The story, some parts of it I did not like in the book, so I did not like it in the movie, how it just turned out in the end. Even within that, I think the movie was just way better than the book. This actually happened with me even when I read the Harry Potter series. One of the books, I think it's Order of the Phoenix, that book is like 800 pages. It is so thick and it is filled with so many details that it was the least liked book for me. But when I was watching the movies, it was in the top somewhere, because when you're turning a book that is filled with so much information and there's so much info dumping happening, and if my brain cannot compute it properly and the pace is suddenly changed and it's slow, then the movie cuts all of that out, all of the spacing, all of the slowness, all of the information that my brain cannot really take, and it gives me the visuals that I need to be able to imagine everything going on, because otherwise all of that technicality, I can't imagine it. When it comes to that visual aspect, I think the movie was commendable. The way it captured the tension, the way it captured the brutality, the sadness, the hollowness, the horror, it actually is still haunting me more than anything else, which actually also happened in the first book with me. More than anything else, Peeta. Okay, one scene in the end with Peeta in this book, which I hope you understand the scene that I'm talking about, and multiple scenes of Peeta in this book. It's actually engraved in my brain and it's haunting me. I'm gonna put a picture on screen without context. If you watch the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This picture is actually like 1% of what happens afterwards and then what happens in the beginning of the second movie, and I just can't. I could not take that. I still cannot take that. I am haunted. I actually go on a rant about this book in the reading vlog also, so you should go check that out, because I don't want to go on a rant again. But the book itself annoyed me, and I know that the movie was better than the book, but still I do not understand why there were two movies. Why were there two movies? It could so easily have been one movie. I think that Catching Fire should have been two movies. The choppiness that I was talking about, maybe that wouldn't be there if Catching Fire was two movies, but they made Mockingjay two movies. I don't understand why. In the end, I think the movies were well made. There were a few subtle changes here and there which I think made the movie more impactful. When it comes to the casting, I think that Snow's casting in the other two movies did not feel that sinister to me, as sinister as the third movie, The Mockingjay. And I don't know if I will ever get over Peeta and the way everything goes in the third book. Don't get me wrong though, it's not like I completely hated the book, okay? I feel like that came across, but that's not true. There were so many parts of the book that I really enjoyed. Obviously the iconic lines, which I wish I could tell you in this, but I can't. The iconic lines I have underlined so much in this, just as much as I have underlined in these two books, because the pacing was just suddenly completely changed in this book. I felt like the movie was way better. In the end, this book has eaten me up so much and so crazily, especially with those images of Peeta, that I actually need to read a romance smart book to get over it. I need to read something completely mindless to get over this entire series. Overall, I think that the movie did justice to the books, which I am very grateful for, which I am very happy about, because I don't have bad memory of the books now just because I have watched the movies, because that happens sometimes. Like for example, I watched Good Girl's Guide to Murder and I did not like the series at all. Okay, and now every time I think about Good Girl's Guide to Murder, sometimes the Netflix series comes to mind, and that just sucks, because I would like my memory of just the books back, but I can't get it. That did not happen with this series, so I was very grateful for that. They did justice to the books in a way that obviously the books are going to be better than the movies, because at the end of the day, in any book that you read, you know details and you know the internal dialogue that is going on in the head of the character. You will never get that in a movie unless it's made like the You series, where you can listen to what Joe Goldberg is thinking at all times, and you can't make all movies and series like that. So you can't always listen to what is going on in the head of the character, which makes the book better because you really feel all the emotion. But one of the most important parts, according to me, of making the book into a series is if you're able to capture the essence of the book or not. I think the movies did that. They did not play around with it. They did not try to lighten it up or even make it heavier and more tragic than it was in the book. The movies actually enhanced the experience I had of the book. It had the slight difference going on that actually made the movies enjoyable, and it did not feel like they just took the books and copy pasted everything and made it weird and choppy and something that doesn't flow together. Those were all of my thoughts on these books. I know it was very extensive and detailed, but it is what it is. That's how a book lover who loves a series watches a movie. These are very, very important things to me. I hope you enjoyed the video and did not get very bored, and I would love to know what you think about the book and the movies, the comparison between that, which was your favorite movie, if you even liked the movies or not, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me, because one of the best things about books and movies and such content is that we can have different opinions and talk about it. It's a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Please do like, share, subscribe. Bye.